This is the Dude Sports Podcast on the Shady Sports Network. And now here are your hosts, Austin and Matt. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back, and we are here for another episode of the Dudes Sports Podcast right here on the Shady Sports Network. And we'd love to welcome you with us. Austin, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm feeling fantastic. You can see I'm rocking the orange because it's Big Ten. We're not in that Big Ten stuff anymore. We're in the Big 12. We're doing the greatest football division here by far, the Big 12. I am ready. Matt, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well as well. We've been super excited about this podcast ever since we started, and I know you've really been excited about this week's episode. We've been talking about it for probably a good 2 months, going back and forth, and just like, hey, what are we going to do with this? But when we first started, we knew that we wanted to do something different and unique, like we've talked about multiple times on here. And so tonight, that's what we're going to do, and we're going to do just like we did a few weeks ago with the Big Ten. Tonight, we are going to break down the Big 12 conference football uniforms. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about what we've been doing over the last few weeks, Austin. So talk a little bit about our low-key uniform awards that we've been doing, Austin.
So what we've been doing is we've been busting out. We've been doing our research. Our crack research team over here has been diving in and looking and keeping an eye on. We watch a lot of college football these last couple weeks, and we've been looking for the good stuff, the good uniforms, the ones that just say, that's beautiful right there. That I could wear that. And then we were looking for the ones where there's like, if I might quote Matt on this one, what are we doing? Okay. Like we have our best dressed and we have our worst dressed. We have our studs and we have our duds. Okay. All right. That's what we've been doing this last couple weeks. And we go back and forth a lot on these. And sometimes I have to veto you. Sometimes you keep me in check on some things. But that's what we've been doing these last couple weeks. We're about to be in week 5 coming up this weekend. But we're 4 weeks in and we have several duds and several studs.
Yeah, that's right. We started out with week 1, and it was a pretty unanimous decision between the two of us. And we both agreed that our best dress for week 1 was the Houston Cougars, who came out in those amazing-looking Houston Oilers uniforms. We're going to get to that a little bit more later tonight. But Austin, who was our worst dressed of week 1?
That would be Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. Okay. That was awful. I'm sorry. I just don't know what was going on or what I was watching on the field. Your helmets look just god awful, atrocious. And then somehow you got this squiggly line that goes down your pants. It doesn't look good. I'm sorry. You got to fix something here. You have to fix it.
Yeah, 100%. Week 2, we came back and we chose for our best dressed week 2 the Kansas Jayhawks with those sick, awesome looking black uniforms they had on that week. And our worst dressed, Austin, it was 2 weeks in a row with an Arizona school.
I watched that game because they were playing my Oklahoma State Cowboys. And we talked about this on the last episode, Arizona State rocked some ugly, like sweater-looking uniforms. It literally looked like they're wearing a sweater. The only thing that I could say about that uniform that was worth a dang was the helmets changed color with the light. It was the only thing that I could say was worth a dang. But when your uniform looks like you're wearing a Christmas sweater, you got to fix it. You got to fix it, and it's bad.
Yeah, 100%. As soon as you sent it to me and you told me that one of the announcers said, quote, it looks like they're wearing a Christmas sweater, I looked at it again, zoomed in, and they definitely looked like they were wearing Christmas sweaters. Arizona State Sun Devils, week 2, what were we even doing? Let's talk about week 3,
exactly,
Austin.
Matt. Exactly.
Let's talk about week 3.
Week 3. Oh, this was unanimous right out the gate. As soon as I saw this, and I sent you the photo, we were both said that's a winner. Based just on the picture alone, UTSA coming out and rocking this photo of them standing in line at a Whataburger, and they're rocking this nice orange uniform. But the photo alone gave us the props. The photo alone says this is a winner. UTSA got the winner, got the dub that week. However, and Matt, you can talk about, I don't even want, they're atrocious, but our week 3 worst dressed, I don't know what's going on. Under Armour has done some better things, but Matt, what was our 3? What was our week 3 worst dressed?
I mean, you feel bad for them because they just got their football program back. They went away for a little bit, but University of Alabama, Birmingham, what were we even doing with lime green on dark green? Like what? It was ugly. It was bad. I was trying to find the pictures, but I'm just having trouble pulling up the logos or the pictures. But it is what it is. But either way, week 4, we've got to give a shout out, Austin. A shout out to the San Jose State University Spartans. We chose them and their gray uniforms as our week 4 best dressed, and they actually liked our award post on Twitter. So thank you to the San Jose State Spartans, one of my new favorite college football teams.
I will give a shout out to them too. I watched that game because I like watching Air Force play, and I saw that. I was like, and then they have like the Spartan down the side on the pants. It was a very great combination, a very well used gray. And then we move into our worst dressed, and we just couldn't decide on which one to pick. I had a problem with the helmets, and it just Matt, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and those, I don't know, why are you wearing green? Like, stay in your lane, Irish. I understand the chrome helmet is a thing, but why are we wearing a green uniform? Like, come on. And then Kentucky, you don't need a chrome helmet either. Not everybody and their mother needs a chrome helmet, and it didn't look good because you put white on the chrome helmet for your logo. It like kind of just faded in. It didn't work. I'm sorry. I've had enough of the chrome helmets. Only certain schools can do it, and you just could not.
Well, I think the worst of it was blue. It wasn't even like good. It was like blue, this weird like blue chrome thing. It just did not look good at all. I agree with you 100% when you sent the pictures, and we decided to do a dual thing. We are here for one reason and one reason only tonight. Before we do that, though, Austin, is there any new surprises that you have after the last couple of weeks? 2 weeks ago, we talked about some surprises and some disappointments. Let's talk about if there's any new surprises for you.
My new surprises is like Mike Gundy. What are we doing? Like, I don't know if it's a surprise. I don't know if it's a shock. I don't know if it's a disappointment. It just got me all flustered. Like, really? What are we doing? Come on. Alan Bowman is not a great quarterback. There's a reason why he left Texas Tech and went and was a third string at Michigan. Like, that's a surprise. Your son, Gunnar Gundy, is playing way better, and you go out and throw Alan Bowman. I get he's a senior, but I'm sorry. He does not deserve to be on the football field. I watched that game. Matt, you watched that game against Iowa State, and you said, what?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching it, and there was a couple passes, and he threw them, and I was like, this is bad. Like, there's got to be somebody better, and we talked about, I think, two things for me. Number one, you talk about your Oklahoma State Cowboys, but like biggest disappointment for me is last Saturday, the Hawkeyes went into Happy Valley, and I thought they had a puncher's chance, and they didn't even show up. It was like Brian Ferentz forgot to even get off the bus or figure out what his playbook was again for like the 84th time. But it is what it is, And so, yeah, I'm really disappointed in that. But luckily, we've got a dumpster fire of Michigan State coming in this weekend. We'll get into that later. And another big surprise thing, I guess, for me is Colorado Coach Prime, what are we even doing? But with that being said,
like,
it is time.
Did you pass your playbook out? Like did you pass your playbook out to the rest of the schools? However, I guess I should say Colorado State is doing some wonderful things. If they took Colorado to the the Woodhouse, but Colorado came out on top. Colorado State, I see you. Okay, I'm watching.
Yeah, definitely. But Austin, we are here tonight for one reason and one reason only. So what do you say we get into our Big 12 uniform rankings?
Matt, I am more excited than ever. This is Big 12. Let's do it.
All right, we will get started. And we're going to start, Austin, with your number 14 ranked team. And first, before we jump into that, one of the things that we talked about when we were doing this was how when we were doing our Big Ten rankings, we were very far apart on a lot of those uniforms. But when we started doing the Big 12 uniforms and we looked at the final standings and the final rankings, we were actually pretty close with each other on these ones. So it's going to be a fun night. We're going to be interested to see what happens here. Austin, are you ready to go?
Let's go, Matt. Let's go. I'm ready. Let's rock and roll.
All right, Austin, go ahead and tell us who was your number 14 ranked uniform in the Big 12.
Number 14. This one, okay. I'm going to say this right now as a disclaimer. There was somebody at the beginning of my rankings. There was somebody else all the way at the bottom. And I'll bring them up later, but they shot up my rankings. However, Cincinnati, you are at the bottom this week. You're at the bottom this year. You're at the bottom this month. The reason why I need to see more. Like, I get it. Your old uniforms were trash, but you're slowly creeping them out. But I need to see that. See, that was an old uniform. They no longer have the little whatever Bearcat claws on the side. They now gotten rid of those. See there. See, that is a nice uniform. I just need to see more. I'm not seeing enough to make you climb up the rankings.
Yep,
It's just not good. The white.
I couldn't find the new ones. I couldn't find the new uniforms that you were talking about. I looked for them. I just could not find them. And so this is what I found. But I actually am somewhat close with you on this. My number 14 ranked team, and no one is going to be surprised by this, considering what I have on my head, and that is the Iowa State Cyclones. What even is this? What even is this?
That I believe is the Jack Trice Memorial uniform. Are we playing soccer? Are we playing soccer at all?
Exactly. Look at this. These are clearly soccer numbers on their uniforms. It's funny because I shared these rankings with my wife before we came on the podcast tonight, and she looked at me and laughed, and she was like, "You just can't give Iowa State credit for being good at anything, can you?" And I said, "Well, I guess they have a good agricultural school."
Fair enough. That's fair.
I guess they're
I've
good
been
at
Iowa
engineering.
State's campus before. I've been Iowa State's campus before. It's not bad. Which I guess could segue into my next pick, because I have Iowa State at number 14. Not gonna lie. I mean, I will say the only thing that puts them above Cincinnati, and you're probably gonna hate me on this one, I actually like the black uniform with the Cyclone letters. I like the black uniform. Yeah.
You like their wannabe.
That's the only thing.
You like their we want to be just like our big brothers Iowa uniform? I mean, it's okay.
I guess, yeah.
Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery.
I was number 3 in my rankings in the Big Ten, so I got to give them at least some credit. Okay?
That's true. That's true. That is true. So, all right. So my 13 is Cincinnati. Obviously, we just talked about them. We will move back on. And this is kind of a little bit where it gets a little different, a little murky in the water, you could say. So, Austin, let's give us your number 12 ranked uniform.
My number 12 is Baylor. Now, Matt, you're probably going to shoot me in the foot for this one, but it's Baylor because of it's too much Packer. Too much Packers. The green ones are great. They look beautiful. They look great. It's the yellow. I cannot stand that yellow uniform. I need with that yellow uniform, I need something to like outline the numbers. There's a reason why the Packers don't wear a yellow uniform. I'm sorry. There's a reason why. They wear the green and they wear white. They don't wear yellow uniform. It just does not look good on the field.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't have Baylor ranked as low as you do in my rankings, but I definitely think that the yellow could be done better. You look at this and it is first of all, their uniforms are very plain in and of itself. And if I just looked at this from afar and didn't know that this was Baylor, how would I know it's Baylor? I don't really see anything to distinguish them as being Baylor. And so, yeah, they're not quite as far low down on mine, but that's also because I like the color combination of green and yellow, whether it's Packers or not. Just in general, I like that color combination. So that's why they're a little bit higher on my list. But I can see why you had them where you had them definitely on your list. So for me, my number 12, and it really reverts back to it's really just one uniform that kind of threw it for me. And it is the TCU Horned Frogs. I was told that this uniform that's on our screen now is called the blood uniform. Is that right, Austin?
Yes, it is based off of frog. Yeah, it's based off a frog that spits blood and it's poisonous blood. I don't understand the point of it, and I have them coming up soon. But it's practically the same reason why. The only reason they're higher, but I'll get into that later, is for a couple of reasons. But I don't understand this uniform either. It's awful. I just don't get it. Red's not in your color scheme. Doesn't make sense.
Well, and I think for me, like with the Iowa State thing, and then with this one, right? To me, and I'm colorblind, so I could have issues here, right? But that number 5 on the screen there looks orange. And so, like, in my opinion, why are you wearing uniforms that aren't your school's colors? Like, that's what I've never understood, which is going to completely contradict everything that we talk about later with some of our other uniforms, because there are a couple of sets of uniforms that I really like that aren't school colors, but it's neither here nor there. But again, like I said with Iowa State, I chose them to be 14 because they wear black uniforms and black isn't even in their color scheme. Sure, it's an accent color, but it is what it is. Moving on to number 11. So let's talk about who your number 11 ranked team is.
So this is where we're going to get a little bit off. It's West Virginia. And it's the same exact reason as Baylor. West Virginia has another ugly a yellow uniform. It's bad. The gray is good. The blue is good. The white is great. But it's the yellow uniform that just gets me. There's no outline. There's no outline. Nothing that says West Virginia on your uniform. There's no outline on it. It's just as bad as Baylor. The only exception I put Baylor or West Virginia above is because of the gray. And then they have what's called a country road uniform that they bust out once a year. And it actually looks, I wish they would, that one. See, I wish that would be your home uniform. I wish that would be your regular every year uniform. I would rock that in your West Virginia mountain or whatever, I really don't like West Virginia either, but like you would climb up the rankings if you actually wore that.
Yeah, for sure. And I understand why you're ranking them where they are. I have them quite a bit higher on mine. And when we were talking pre-show, you didn't understand why, but I'm going to actually leave you in suspense about why when we get to where I have them ranked, because I think it might change your opinion as well once we get there. So my number 11 uniform. Yeah, my number 11 team in the uniform rankings is Texas Tech, the Red Raiders. I chose Texas Tech Red Raiders because I think that their uniforms are very dull and very plain. Much like when we talked about Indiana, these are slightly better. And the only reason that these are better, in my opinion, is because you can't see it on the white. You can see it a little bit on the red, and you can clearly see it on the black. Their name, Texas Tech, on the front of their uniforms is outlined in their accent color. And that's really the only reason why I think they're better than Indiana. But otherwise, they're pretty putrid, in my opinion.
That's fair. I have the same reasoning. I have some when we get to Texas Tech on my list, I might try and change your mind as well, but we'll get there.
Okay, awesome. Number 11 for you, Austin.
Here's where TCU lies, is number 11. TCU, it's the same reasoning for you as it is for me. I really just don't like that blood uniform that they've got. It just disgusts me. But the reason why they're higher on this list than some of the other programs is because they actually really have a nice black uniform. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a fan of the icy whites that they have. So that's why they're higher. But that blood uniform, when they bust out once a year, is just awful. I can't watch it. It just doesn't make sense to me. So they're at number 11. A little bit higher than you, but they're at number 11 this year.
Yeah, for sure. And that was actually number 10. I'm sorry. I lost track of counting there, and that was number 10. So yeah. So there you go. There is Austin's 14 through 11 scrolling on the bottom there. And yeah, so we're gonna go back to that. And my number 10, comes in with the and again, we were somewhat similar around this area, starting to get a little bit similar in these ones, but my number 10 comes in with and I think you'll appreciate this one, Austin. The Sooners, Oklahoma Sooners. This is why. Again, we've talked ad nauseum already on this episode. We've only been 21 minutes in. We've been about 5 minutes into this uniform thing. We've talked ad nauseum about not having outlines on your numbers and your letters. And again, Oklahoma, what are we even doing?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, these are kind of about the same. They're just a little bit higher on my, not very much, not by a lot, but it's a different reason why they're higher for me than they are for you. But they aren't much, and it was really hard to place those three. This one, TCU, and the next three for me, because it was just I flipped them so much when I was doing this. But I think Oklahoma just kind of winds up just a tad bit higher for me on this one.
Yeah, no, I get it. Makes total sense. And so, yeah, so got both of our bottom 5 rankings scrolling across the bottom here. Okay, number 9 for you, Austin. And again, we are on number 9 right now. So who was your number 9 ranked team as far as uniforms go?
This is the first one where I think we were in agreement. It's Texas. I don't like that is just that's trash on my uniform or on my screen right now. But oh man, it's just like we said, the other outlines of the Texas, even Texas is not even outlined. The number's not outlined. Like the only thing for me that makes it iconic for Texas and the reason why they're up a little bit higher is when they go the icy whites. I'm kind of a big fan of the icy white version for a lot of schools. And it's just when you go burnt orange, I can't. And my wife is a big, huge Texas fan, so I get to give a shout out to her. But I also have the Texas Longhorns uniforms way down compared to some other teams.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I completely understand why you have them ranked, where you have them ranked, and it's really not that big of a difference for me. I actually have Texas at the same ranking as you do. The reason I did it is because, really, honestly, I've always thought this is kind of a nice look. I know we talk about outlining your numbers and that kind of thing, but Texas has always had, to me, like an iconic uniform and a really nice looking solid uniform, in my opinion. Say what you will about them. I think part of it too is I just remember watching that iconic game with Vince Young when they were playing against USC, and just how cool that game was and how good it was. And I think just that image stuck with me of those white uniforms. So that's why I put them at number 9 as well. Number 8, again, you talked about it a few minutes ago, or I talked about it a few minutes ago, but go ahead and tell us your number 8.
So my number 8 is Oklahoma. your regular uniforms are just bland. Obviously, being an Oklahoma State fan, I hate your uniforms. I think you're trash. But like your regular uniforms are just bland to me. It's hard to put that color on a uniform. The ones you showed, I actually kind of like those ones a little bit more than your regular uniforms. But the one part that puts it above Texas is the Unity uniform. Uh, the Oklahoma Unity uniform, that gray with the maroon, it's not bad. I'm gonna give you a clap on that one. The Unity form is nice. The gray is done right with the with the maroon. You're outlined Oklahoma correctly. I mean, it's a Jordan jersey, so I can't really give you too much more than that.
Right. And I mean, Jordan is an iconic brand, especially now with football and everything. And so, yeah, definitely. I really like these. I couldn't find a good picture of like the whole uniform. They got gray pants that go with it that are really, really slick looking. I do kind of like the silver helmet there, or the dark gray kind of, what do they call that? Kind of a ashy type gray helmet there. I really do like that. It's a really nice look. I think they've only ever worn those maybe once, if I'm not mistaken. And
Once.
so, yeah, so I really like those. So, yeah. And then this is kind of where we differed a little bit. You had Oklahoma at number 8. I had actually had Baylor as my number 8 school. Again, it was just, again, we talked about, I just really like the colors of yellow and green together. That's really the only reason why they're so much higher on my list, is because I like those colors together. And I think that dark green is one of those colors that meshes well with the green like that. It's weird because when we do our Pac-12 rankings, I don't know that Oregon is going to be as high based on their color scheme, and it's almost the same color scheme. So, but we'll get to that when we get there. Number 7 for you, Austin. Let's talk about number 7.
Number 7 comes in with BYU. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I think what puts them a little bit higher, I like that we have our blue and we have our white, but why do we have a navy uniform? Why do we have a darker one? And then also, I don't know if you have a picture of it, Matt, but they also have a black uniform that they busted out once in a while when they played in Vegas. It's called a Vegas Knights uniform. Nothing really is outstanding about it. I just don't understand why we have two blue uniforms.
Yeah, 100%. I hear you. I actually have their black uniforms right here, and I have them just a bit higher than you do. So I was going to wait and show them, but this uniform is why I have them ranked where they're ranked. I really, really like this uniform. I like the how the image there has it on the blue background. It's really, really cool. It makes it pop. But that's part of the reason why I have them a little bit higher, not much higher than you do, but a little bit higher. Mm-hmm. My number 7 ranked team is actually and we talked about this a little bit. I think you were a little surprised by it. Was actually the Kansas State Wildcats. Again, very iconic uniform. I think for me, the biggest thing is like, if I didn't see this side view of your purple uniform and you were looking at me directly from the front, how do I know who you are? There's nothing to identify who you are. And
that's fair.
They're white uniforms.
Yep. See right there. That one's nice too.
Yep. But yeah, as you were saying, shout out to Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn, Dallas Cowboy. Just saying,
Yep.
Go Deuces loose in Dallas.
What I really thought was cool about K-State's uniform is I actually kind of dig this one. This all white with the. It looks to me like that helmet is white too. And so in this lighting, that looks like a white helmet. So I'd be interested to see if they do like a whiteout game and they wear those helmets and those uniforms, and if they actually do that for a game this year. That'd be kind of cool to see. So, so I had Kansas State as my number 7, and you had BYU. I know you had K-State a little bit higher on your list, and we'll talk about why when we get to that. Number 6 for you, Austin, is go ahead.
Well, here's my disclaimer, okay? Houston was at the bottom of this entire thing until that beautiful Houston Oilers dedication uniform came out. That thing, oh wow, that shot them up to this standing right here. I also really like their black one, but it's just their Houston. It just doesn't work for me. I don't like it. I just it's
Yep.
awful. The red was awful.
This is their this is their typical home uniform. This is their typical road uniforms here. Just very bland and plain and boring. And then I'm actually going to hold out on showing the Houston Oilers themed uniforms until we get to where I have Houston ranked on mine. It's not too far away from here, but it's because of that ranking that uniform that I have them ranked where they are. My number 5 is actually, or number 6, excuse me, is actually BYU, and it was just this black right here that put it over the edge. So that is what mine was. Full transparency with that ranking was BYU. So here are our bottom or middle 5 rankings on the screen. Scrolling to the bottom now, and we're getting ready to unveil our top 5 Big 12 uniforms. Austin, again, we are in agreement in this one, and it's a little bit funny because at number 5 we're in agreement, yet we both agree that one of the uniforms of this team is not very good. So go ahead, Austin, and tell the people watching what your favorite number 5 favorite uniform is.
It's Kansas. Now, another disclaimer: Kansas again was at the bottom and then shot up because of a very particular jersey, a uniform combination that just came out this year. But Kansas Jayhawks, you guys brought it. You guys are in have moved up my board. But there's a very particular uniform. Actually, there's 2. I'm not very fond of your red. That one right there. That is perfecto. It's your red uniform. I do not like your red uniform. I just think it's awful. I'd rather you stick in your lane. I know you got red in your color scheme, but go back to your blue. I hate that. And then it just says Kansas across the top in a very nonchalant script. But it's that I'm going to let you talk about the other jersey that we both hate, just because I just that one just irks me.
So I also have Kansas ranked as my number 5 team. I like these blue and whites. I like these. These are new this year. I like these because I like the red stripes on the side, as ironic as that is, and I'm not a big fan of the color red. We really liked these black uniforms that when they wore them week 2 or week whatever it was when we chose them. I'm okay with these just because it's their alternate color, their third color or whatever. But these, Kansas, what are we even doing?
Ugh.
I'm sure that there's a story behind these uniforms. I'm sure that there's some kind of, they're honoring something, or it has something to do with the state of Kansas or something. And if anybody sees this and they know what that is, shout us out on Twitter or Facebook and let us know. But these are just not good, so we're going to move away from that. Number 4 for me, or number 4 for you, Austin. Who'd you have at number 4?
Number 4 is K-State. We've talked about it. You've talked about it. K-State for me is number 4. And it's because of this. When they rock the white helmet, they can go all white. I actually really love this. That's why it goes above. It's classic. It's iconic. It's kind of the same feel as Penn State for me, because Penn State does the same. It looks Penn State-ish. It has that because Penn State they don't have anything flashy. It's just numbers in a uniform. It looks to me like it's just classic. It's fresh. It's nice. I actually like the silver. I'm not going to lie. The silver and the purple look great together. It gives me that Penn State vibe that I don't know. It just something about it. The white helmet adds a little something to it. It adds a fresh flavor. When they put the number, I wish they would go to the number on the side on a regular basis. Actually, I'm not going to lie. That's great. I could care less about the K-State on the side. I want the numbers on the side because not many colleges do that except for one, and I hate them, and we'll get into them when we get into the SEC.
Yeah, for sure. I actually had forgotten about this uniform, and now that I've seen it, it might actually raise them on my board a little bit if I had to look at it again. I might move them slightly above. I might move them up to a spot or 2 based on that throwback uniform, because I think it's actually kind of cool. We're on number 4, right? Yep. So my number 4, and we've talked about it before. My number 4, it has to do with this right here. These uniforms are amazing. Now, I was not a Houston Oilers fan as a kid, but chef's kiss, mwah, mwah, to the Houston Cougars. I honestly think they should switch to this color scheme forever. I would not be
It looks
upset
so
with that
good.
at all. It does.
It looks so
Definitely
good.
does. They actually have the old Houston Oilers on Madden as a relocation franchise, and I actually tend to pick them as my relocation city, even if it doesn't fit with where they're located. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Moving on to number 3, and this is where we had some major contention, and I'm really excited to give you my argument as to why my team is number 3 and to hear your argument why your team is number 3. So, without further ado, Austin, give us your number 3.
Texas Tech. That is who my number 3 is. Now, the black, when they go all blacks, it's great. When they go all white, it's great. They have over 75 different combinations of this uniform that they can roll out. Okay, they do it better than Cincinnati does. Like they can go red helmet, black pants. They can do all different types of colors, uniform combinations. But the reason why, and I'm going to pull it up on my phone and slap it up here so you can see, but Texas Tech, they made a big change. They used to have their pinstriping right here on their chest, and they moved it to the sleeves. But let's just throw. Let me see if I can pull it up here because I wasn't prepared for that, but I'm going to because I need you to see what I'm talking about. Football uniforms is they bust out a few nice alternates every once in a while, and not to mention their classic uniforms are amazing. But here's what their uniforms used to look like, Matt. You see how the sleeves or the stripe used to be on the chest? Now they don't do that no more. Now it's on the sleeves. And you could thank, Pat Mahomes, he came out and he rocked, but this is their classic uniform. This is right here is why. It's their classic. They come out and they do a pinstripe down the helmet. They see how the letters are so much better. They get rid of the stripes on the sleeves. The pinstripes are nice. That is why Texas Tech is at number 3 is when they bust. And they have a red version. They have a black version. They have the white version. Now, they've had some awful alternate uniforms. I'll say that at least. They've had some awful ones. But also, Pat Mahomes and Baker Mayfield both used to play for Texas Tech. Just saying. Just throwing that out there. But that's why they're at number 3. Is based on their alternate classic uniforms.
I did not know that Baker Mayfield Texas.
Yep.
I learned.
Baker Mayfield
today years old when I found out.
He walked on at Texas Tech, played 2 years at Texas Tech, left Texas, went to Oklahoma, walked on in Oklahoma, became a starter, and then became a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yep, that's crazy. And now he's barely starting in the NFL. Interesting. Okay, so we talked a little bit earlier, right? Mm-hmm. You saw my number 3 ranked team, and you were like, "What are you even doing?" When I said that, when I told you, my number 3 ranked team is the West Virginia Mountaineers, and there's one reason, Austin. And when I put this up here, I think it's going to change your mind. Look at this. Their uniforms have lightning bolts in the numbers. They have lightning bolts in the numbers.
That's the country road uniform, I'm telling you.
And in the neck.
Oh, it's the country road uniform.
That's why.
Yes.
This uniform on in and of itself is the only reason why they are number 3 on my list, because they have lightning bolts in the numbers. That is incredible. West Virginia Mountaineers, well done. If you play in those uniforms, that will be my vote for uniform of the week, but I know that I won't win. So anyways, we are getting down to the nitty gritty, and our top 2, I'm sure people have figured it out by deductive reasoning so far where we're at, but our top 2, Austin, we were exactly the same on our top 2, which I thought was awesome. So Austin, without further ado, Who did you have at number 2?
Number 2 goes to UCF, the Knights of UCF. I can't complain. They are the Oregon of the Big 12 right now. They have so many different combinations. Those are so finely beautiful. They remind me of the Army Black Knights. But what puts them at number 2 isn't even their normal uniforms. The reason why they're at number 2 for me is their Space U uniforms. Those things are elegant. Their design is masterful. And I can't complain about them because they bring out a Space U uniform every year and it's always different. I've seen no issue. The only reason they're not number 1 is because during the spring ball, they wore on the back of their they wore on the front the number. On the back, they did not have a number. Matt, do you know what they had on the back of their number for their spring ball uniforms?
I do not. What did they have?
They had a QR code instead of numbers.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's the only reason why. That's it. I have no doubts about it. I mean, I'll say I'm not biased at all about who my number 1 is, but UCF's Space U uniforms, they put that brings them all the way up to number 2 for me.
Yeah, and it's really sad because a lot of the Space U uniform pictures are like web page versions, and I just couldn't find one that I thought was good. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a copy of it. I chose them there because I just really like the color scheme, like we talked about with the Big Ten uniforms. I had to rank number 2 uniforms, and I just really like the look of the black and gold together. For me, what I really like, because UCF has always been known for that black helmet with the gold UCF on the side, right? I really like that. But I did watch them last year, I believe it was, rock a white helmet with the black jerseys, and I think they had like gold pants at one point. And it's kind of ironic, UCF used to be coached by thou who shall not be named, that was at Nebraska before their current coach. And so, it was hard for me to like them, but their uniforms are cool. I can't help it. So, but without further ado, Austin, I know you've been waiting all night for this. I know we talked about this at nauseum, but go ahead and give us your number 1 ranked uniform.
My number 1, not biased at all, non-biased at all for this, Oklahoma State. They are the number 1 ranked uniforms, and this is just, they brought these bad boys out brand new this year. Like, they used to have a uniform with, it was like all around the collar, around the sleeves. It was like a handkerchief pattern. It was very nice, very great. I love their uniforms then, but these, oh my. Oh, and we haven't even, like, all of them haven't even been seen on TV yet. The orange and the white are the only ones that have been debuted at all. Okay? Mm-hmm. They have 2 white uniforms. 2 whites. Mm-hmm. Okay? And this, I'm going to be honest, take it back to Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas. Okay? This uniform is worn by Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas. Boom. Yes. There we go. Matt, go ahead.
I remember as a kid watching Oklahoma State, and I always thought that their orange with black numbers was really, really cool. I'm sorry, orange with white numbers with the black outline was really cool. What put them at number 1 for me was this right here. That is a beautiful looking uniform. And I'm not normally one who is for the cartoon logos on the side of the helmets, but the way that they do that cartoon cowboy, it's actually really, really cool. I like it a lot. And that is why Oklahoma State is my number 1 uniform in the Big 12 conference. So that is our Big 12 conference uniform rankings for the college football season. Austin, I guess maybe tell the crowd or the fans maybe what was your toughest decision to make in this set of uniform rankings?
Okay, so like when I was going through this, like it was easy for me to do the Big Ten because I'm an outsider looking in at the Big Ten. Because as much as I'm from Iowa, I love Iowa, but they're not my favorite team. Being an outsider was easy. Being an insider on like a Big 12 fan, you really have to pick and choose. And then and then also bringing in the 4 new teams made it a lot harder because now I have to dig in and look at Houston. I got to dig in and I got to look at Cincinnati. I got to dig in and look at UCF, and BYU. Like it made it a little bit harder because I don't know enough about them. So I had to study them. I had to look at them. I had to go watch film on them. I had to watch games on them just to see the uniform, just to see the look, the feel. With that being said, being an insider as a Big 12 fan makes it a little bit harder to actually place your teams, at least for me, to place those teams in the correct order.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, the hardest thing was I'm not as familiar with the Big 12 conference uniforms as I could be, even though I watch the Big 12 play every year because I love to watch Iowa State lose. So I'm just not as familiar as I could be, but I've always been a fan of Oklahoma State's uniforms. Just always have ever since I was young. Watched them play when they were on TV when I was younger, and even just seeing them, their uniforms, the Barry Sanders jersey, like seeing the throwback of in the stores and stuff that you can buy now of the college jerseys with the throwbacks, which I think are totally cool. Yeah, I've always liked those.
Oh yeah, the Oklahoma, that is brand new for this year. Those actually used to be our throwbacks last year and the years before. They used to bust those out for homecoming. They would wear those for homecoming. It would just be a throwback. But now they're wearing those as a permanent uniform. They've got the black. They even have like it's just when they bust it and then you throw it. Look at the helmet. They bust out the helmet with the script writing that says cowboy on it. That to me is perfect. I love all the helmets combinations they have, but the script helmet with the Barry Sanders uniform, I'm waiting to see the black one on TV. I'm waiting to see that one because that one's going to look great. And then the white with the black writing across the front and then the orange outline of it, it just doesn't get much better than that. I love their old uniforms. In actuality, they have a gray uniform that they used to wear. And it was great. I loved when they busted out the gray uniform. My question is, do we get a gray uniform with the Oklahoma State across the front? Do we get the Barry Sanders version with the gray? And then do we get a gray helmet with the script? Please, Oklahoma State gods, just bless us once this time more this year and give me a gray script uniform. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at the Louisiana Tech and UTEP game, and UTEP's uniforms are actually pretty decent this year. They're kind of nice. They got the minors on the front, and then they listened a little bit, and they've got the white numbers outlined in orange and some white and orange striping on the sleeves. So, yeah. Anyways, moving
props.
on.
You've done it justice.
For sure. So, Austin, let's talk a little bit about some exciting games that are coming up this weekend. What are you looking forward to the most in college football this weekend? Maybe especially from the Big 12 conference.
Well, I mean, let's just talk about it real quick. Oklahoma State is playing K-State this weekend. I have no expectations right now with the way we lost to Iowa State. I have no expectations because I don't know what's going to happen. Oklahoma State, if they run out Alan Bowman, I'm pretty sure we're probably going to lose because it's Alan Bowman, and I don't really feel like he's a starting quarterback. But
yeah, for sure.
You could tell though, it's going to be a great weekend for Big 12 football. Matt, Go ahead. How about you come out, bust out a couple really quick?
Yeah, for sure. For me, obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing how Colorado bounces back this week as they face USC. They're hosting USC at Folsom Field, and we saw what happened last week. They played Oregon, who a lot of people are saying is their first actual competition of the season, and they got boat raced by Oregon. So now they're facing Caleb Williams. We've talked about Caleb Williams on here. Caleb Williams has 15 passing touchdowns, which I believe leads the nation in passing touchdowns. If not, it is closely second or near the top, right? He's completing 74% of his passes for the season, which is just insane. And he has 1,200 yards. But can Colorado regroup? Because they got absolutely destroyed last week against Oregon. It did not look pretty. They looked completely outmatched, outcoached. Coach Prime looked like he was out of his element for sure, and his guys definitely have some work to do this week if they if they want to. The other game, Austin, do you talk a little bit about the Kansas versus Texas matchup? Are you looking forward to that one?
So this one's going to be a little bit telling because it's a matchup between ranked opponents. I mean, always ranked opponents are going to be great. The thing is, Texas last couple years has not been able to get through the Kansas schools. Oklahoma's the same way. Somehow, some way, Kansas and Kansas State have their numbers. Now, if Kansas pulls it off and beats Texas, I don't think Kansas is back or Texas is back. I really don't think they're all that great. Yes, you beat Alabama, but I don't think Alabama is back either. I think Alabama is actually worse this year than they have ever been. I think they have a quarterback issue. I think they have a strictly quarterback problem and a defensive problem. So as far as Texas is concerned, I say go and let Quentin Ewers sit on the bench. Let a guy by the name of Arch Manning come out, throw the ball around. Let's see what Arch Manning's got. Maybe he can liven them up. But I've got Kansas this weekend. I'm going the upset. I've got Kansas this weekend because I think they're actually doing something. They're actually building on something. They're building on momentum. I don't think Texas is back.
It's funny that you say that they should bench Ewers. Ewers. I don't know how you say his name, but it's funny that you say that they should bench him because he is a sophomore. And here's the thing. His offense that he's leading is averaging 432 yards per game offensively. 432 yards. Now, some of that is a running game, obviously, right? But Ewers himself has 1,033 yards and 9 touchdowns in 4 games this season and led them to a victory over Alabama. So, we'll see what happens. And they're holding their opponents to 298.5 yards of total offense. What's really ironic is Kansas's defense is actually really good too. They're holding their opponents to just under 300 yards total offense as well. So something's going to have to give in this game. I would love to see Kansas pull the upset. My chiropractor is actually a Kansas fan. I believe he's not, I don't believe, I know he's from Kansas and just talks about Kansas football. And he literally said, we're going to get killed by Texas this weekend. And I said, I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. So we'll see what happens, but it's going to be a great one to watch for sure. I'll have my eyes on that one. I'm obviously going to be watching the Hawkeyes because I'm a glutton for punishment. Like I said earlier, Iowa plays Michigan State this weekend, and Michigan State's got a lot of issues with the firing of their head coach and Mike D'Antonio returning in an interim basis. It's just a big cluster mess. But the biggest question mark is, can Iowa rebound from that 31-point shellacking that they took in Happy Valley? I don't want to say the sky is falling, but like the sky might be falling. There's a lot of talk in the circle of Iowa of, is it finally time for Kirk Ferentz to ride off into the sunset? And we'll get to that point at some point, but I'm not sure. I'm always going to root for my Hawks. So, Hawks by a million. But Austin, what are your thoughts on that game?
So I don't think Michigan State's all that great this year. I'm going to go with the Iowa Hawkeyes. I want them to score more than 25 points. Wink, wink. But I don't think Michigan's got so much issues right now. I don't think like a lot of the kids are going to be, like the players are going to be they're probably going to be in their heads. They're going to be looking at this game of just another game. What are we like? To quote you, what are we doing, Michigan State? Like, come on, get your act together. But Iowa's got the same issues. Iowa's got to get their act together too. You've got to play better defense, Iowa. You're slacking. This should be a game where you should be mad, upset, pissed off, and you should come out and beat on some Michigan State before you get into the rest of your schedule. Because if you don't,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Matt. If you don't, it's going to be a rough season.
definitely. You're preaching to the choir, dude. I'm 100% on board with you on that. But Austin, this has been a lot of fun. We're going to reconvene again here in a couple of weeks, and we're going to talk about your favorite conference again, Big 12 expansion. Talk about how this expansion that they've had is working, and then talk about some of the new teams that are going to be joining the Big 12 in the 2024-25 season. I'm looking forward to that. Just going to be making sure that we get into that. So, Austin, any final words tonight before we leave?
I am just excited we finally got into the Big 12. I did just kind of look. I want to throw this up there. The game that I like to say is Notre Dame and Duke. Go Duke. Go Devils.
Absolutely.
Just saying. As far as my final words, Matt, this is a great experience. I'm loving doing this with you. It's great to talk college football. It's great to talk college football uniforms, and I can't wait to bring episode 4 and drop it in everybody's laps.
Absolutely. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. So for myself, for my esteemed colleague, Austin, we would like to bid you adieu. And until next time, we will see you all later.